An Accra Circuit Court has denied a sympathiser of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Theophilus Thompson, who assaulted JoyNews journalist Latif Iddrisu bail. He is to reappear in court on June 18th after pleading not guilty to assault and threats of death. 55-year-old Theophilus Thompson was captured on video along with other suspects who are currently on the run assaulting Latif Iddrisu during his live coverage of the detention of the party's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchiboisiako, also known as Chairman Wuntumi, in Yoko custody. Kenneth Jesse sat through the court proceedings and joins us with updates. Kenneth, what more can you tell us?
Well, so currently we're at the Accra Circuit Court. Court proceedings have ended after several minutes of deliberation between the state attorney and also counsel for the accused. The judge refused bail to Theophilus Thompson, who is 55 years old. He's been remanded into custody and set to reappear on the 18th of June 2025. Now, the new development that we're currently picking from my colleague Latif is that he's received a call from the investigators. They've told him that they have invited new suspects to the police station, and he's been invited to come and see if he can identify that if indeed these people were part of those that assaulted him. So that's the new development that is coming up. New suspects have been invited by the police to assist with investigation. Well, during the court proceedings, the counsel for the accused pleaded with the presiding judge to grant his client bail on the basis that he is not guilty, he is not a flight risk, and also he has a permanent place of abode. He did indicate that denying him bail seems to be a sort of punishment for his client. And the state prosecutor did indicate that no, he should not be granted bail because he could tamper with investigations that are currently ongoing. He also did indicate that Thompson should not be granted bail because he also, there are some victims at large who, some suspects at large who I have indicated have been invited by the police to assist with investigation. So that's what happened here. And of course, we had some big wigs of the New Patriotic Party coming here to support. We had the national organizer, Nanabi, coming here. We also had the deputy general secretary of the party, Salam Mustafa, also making way here. None of them spoke to the media, though, but that's what happened here. And of course, Latif Iddrisu also had his family, 2 members from his family, also come here to throw their support behind him. So really, that is the latest development from the case. Fresh suspects have been invited by the police to the police station to assist with investigation, and of course they've invited my colleague Latif Iddrisu to help identify those suspects.
But do we know the names of these fresh suspects?
Well, we do not know. Latif himself doesn't know who they are until he gets there. So we will be waiting. Of course, it is a developing story. So when we get there, or when Latif gets there, he will be able to identify those people for us.
Thank you, Kenneth. Still on this matter, we're joined by the Executive Director at the Media Foundation for West Africa, Sulemana Brahima, for more on this. I mean, you have been campaigning for protection for journalists to be able to do their work. Does this surprise you that we still record assaults on journalists?
Well, it's not surprising, particularly given the rhetoric and sometimes the actions from certain political figures. And of course, also given the situation in the past where impunity for crimes against journalists almost became the order of the day, I assume that people feel that it's still okay. And in fact, if you assault a journalist, nothing would happen, because we've had cases in the past where nothing happened. And so for me, it's not surprising that these things will happen.
Okay. Now, generally, how would you assess the current state of media freedom in Ghana? Are we making progress at all?
Well, to the extent that we are seeing the police pick up someone for the assault on Latif Iddrisu, I think that is a positive development. And as your reporter indicated, a few more people have been picked up for possible identification as suspects in relation to the assault. And I think that is also quite a positive development. Indeed, in the past, Ghana had always been one of the brighter spots when it comes to press freedom. It's unfortunate that over the last 6 or 7 years, we went down the slope. And I can only believe that with a new government in place, attempting to reset things, we expect that the resetting agenda would also affect the media landscape in terms of freedom for journalists to practice and in terms of the general freedom of expression ecosystem in our country.
I mean, you talk about resetting the system. Currently, does Ghana's legal framework adequately really protect journalists and media houses in general, or you've identified some loopholes that you think that during this resetting they can include?
Well, I think that generally our legal frameworks are okay. The Constitution, which is the parent law, extensively provides for media freedoms. And I think it is one of the unique things that we have as a country in terms of the elaborate provisions in the Constitution when it comes to media freedoms. Apart from that, I think, yeah, there are sections in the criminal code that people have talked about in terms of the offense of publication of false news, the offense of publishing news that can cause fear and panic. It is something that we have been talking about as requiring repeal. But I should also say that the absence of a broadcasting law sometimes also make a number of media houses go wayward. So we cannot just be talking about freedoms and freedoms and freedoms without responsibility. Over the course of time, I think that legitimately there have been concerns about the conduct of some media organizations and some journalists. And as I've always said, unprofessional conduct, irresponsible conduct sometimes constitute the most serious threat to press freedom.
Right. You have just talked about unprofessional conduct and all, but let's look at the political climate as well. How much of the pressure on media freedom in Ghana is influenced by the current political environment?
Well, I think that we came from an ecosystem that was quite repressive from the military regime. And as a result, a lot of advocacy was done. And that is why I believe that the framers of our Constitution dedicated a whole chapter to essentially media freedom and provided for a lot of provisions that really insulate the media from attacks, insulate the media from governmental control and all of that. But over time, we have as a country failed to respond to emerging developments. The media landscape has completely changed from a period when we had just about 1 or 2 or 3 media houses to hundreds of media houses. At a time when we never had digital platforms, now we have digital platforms. The attitudes that we approach, these media outlets with, and the entire ecosystem has changed. But I think as a country, we've over time not been able to respond appropriately to the changing times. And I think those are the areas that we have to continue to reflect on.
Finally, for me, let's look at the regulating bodies. Are bodies like the National Media Commission and the Ghana Journalists Association doing enough to really defend press freedom?
I think the GJA, particularly the current leadership, has shown a lot of commitment and a lot of passion for the fight for press freedom. And let's not forget that this is just an association. It doesn't have the powers to enforce any legislation. It doesn't have the powers to prosecute, for criminal offenses. But I think the biggest failure has been the National Media Commission. And the last time we had the opportunity to meet with the Constitution Review Committee, some of us made that clear, that in order to ensure that journalists are responsible, are professional, and the freedoms that are provided for in our Constitution to be respected, we need a much more effective, a much more vibrant, and a much more focused and dedicated National Media Commission. And it will require some changes happening in terms of the composition and in terms of the law that sets up the NMC by way of the NMC Act to ensure that we truly and honestly have a media regulator that is indeed a regulator, not just on paper, but also in action.
Thank you so much for talking to us today on Joy News today, Mr. Brahma Suleiman. Now.